outlets. Everybody in this world needs an outlet. Doesn't matter who you are, how powerful you are as a man or woman of God, or your position within the church, or your position anywhere. Everybody needs an outlet. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. There's some things in your life that you can't fully make sense of it, that you need someone else to really help you to navigate through that, to understand why am I going through this, or why am I feeling this way. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sylvia Rochelle Speaks podcast. Today we have another special guest here with us. She is a wife, she is a certified coach, a motivational speaker. In fact, I will let her introduce herself. So, Wilna, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Sylvie. I am really grateful. But as you were saying, my name is Wilna Francois. I was born Wilna Eugene, and I became Wilna Francois after I got married. Hence, when you said I am married, I have been married for 3 years. I am a mental health professional. I received my education in psychology, and I specialize in family therapy. So I currently practice as an assessment therapist as we speak, and I received also certification in life coaching, specifically solution focused coaching, but life coaching was the additional training that I obtained so that I can provide that service to individuals who are in need of it as well. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Wow, you said you are a mental health professional. How did you get started in that field? Like, what drew you to that field?
To be honest with you, my family was a reason.
Wow.
Growing up, I am the last of six. So being the last and being a woman, there are certain guidelines, there are certain restrictions that I had to follow. I had a strict father growing up,
Hmm.
so I had to follow so many different strict rules. And when I came here in the US, I had to acculturate it, right? I'd been growing up in the Haitian culture, and then transitioning to the American culture was a culture shock for me because I grew up a certain way, and now I had to accommodate with being in this culture and being, able to live within the culture and also maintain my Haitian background at home. So it was very difficult as a teenager to navigate both cultures. As a result, because I became so Americanized, some people
Wow.
might say, it became an issue, right? When I was in school, I started in seventh grade, but by the time I came here, I had already completed most of my education in Haiti. But they put me back because the system is totally different. But because I started in middle school, there's a lot of things that I learned, and a lot of things that I understood differently than my families, than my siblings, because my siblings came here a lot older than I did. I came here at 13, so by that time, I was able to acculturate a lot better or a lot faster than my siblings did. So my parents were, they were in for a ride because they didn't have to deal with certain things that they dealt with my siblings because they were already in their 20s and I was still a teenager. So when you're raising a teenager in this country, it's a lot different than when you're raising a teenager in Haiti. And my dad
Yes,
would say it
very.
all the time. I know, right? My dad would be like, and so he would say, "Oh, minute mo na communal sa parce que m'bable pou yal nan vagabondage." In translation, he didn't want to bring us here too young so that we wouldn't
Mm.
follow the wrong path. And honestly, now as an adult, right, I'm understanding perfectly the reason why he made that decision. And I don't regret it, to be honest with you. I appreciate the education and the morals that I learned when I was in Haiti. And I also was able to continue to apply those here, and I still do, because you can never, get rid of your childhood. That's like the most crucial time of your life. But to continue on, how did I begin? So how did I went into the mental health field is because of my family. We went through a lot of turmoil, and on
Mm.
social media, I talk about how we have such a great relationship, a healthy relationship. It wasn't always like that. It was turbulent for me because, like I said, they did not understand the way I was. And I can say verbally, verbatim, what my mom said to me one time. She said, "I have 6 kids, but I don't understand what happened to you."
Wow.
Basically, she's
Wow.
trying to say that she doesn't understand why I am the way I am, because I am so different from my siblings. If you see all of us together, you would actually question, like, is she really part of this family? So when she said it, I took it personally, and I was like, what are you trying to say? Like, I'm your daughter. How could you say this to me? But I didn't understand
Mm,
how I was. And now that I'm able to really like, I have to reflect. I practice self-reflection all the time, because I want to see the growth. I want to see how much more I can improve in areas that I can improve. So I was able to understand. I'm like, oh yeah, I am different, and it's okay to be different. But at the time when she said it, I didn't have the capacity to understand what she was trying to say. But because I was surrounded by people, by mentors who was able to help me see, hey, Wilna, you're the first one to obtain your bachelor's degree in your immediate family. You're the first one to obtain your master's degree in your immediate family. So that a lot of things that I'm able to understand differently than everyone, because of the knowledge that I have. And yes, I have my siblings who have their education since Haiti. They are knowledgeable. They are um,
mm,
educated. All of them are educated, and they are entrepreneurs, nurses, you name it. However, for me, my education was different because it was in America versus in Haiti. They learn everything that they learn. So because my education was different, my behavior was different, my whole personality is a lot different. So because of that, we had a lot of friction, especially with my father. He was very strict, and being a woman, there was a lot of pressure. I couldn't go out with my friends past 10 o'clock. So as a result, I'm like, there had to be a solution. I'm like, I need to be able to know how to deal with my parents. And being a woman of faith, I dedicated my life to Christ at a very, very young age. Since I was 8 years old, I accepted Christ. So being a woman of faith, I learned a lot about honoring my parents, and I wanted to defend myself or advocate for myself in a healthy and respectful way. So I
mhm,
asked God, I'm like,
definitely.
what's going on, right? So I
Yeah.
decided to go into psychology. Long story short, I majored in psychology in my undergrad. And after that, after I received some training in the field, I was like, there has to be more than this. So I pursued my master's in family therapy specifically.
Wow, that is well said. That is an amazing story. Uh, One thing I definitely grasp from what you said is what you went through really led you to the field that you are in right now. And that makes me think of how God will lead us to our purpose sometimes through our very struggles. So
Absolutely.
that's definitely very key what you said there. And you going to that field and in you facing what you face personally as a teenager and with
Hmm.
what's going on in the world, I do believe the world already kind of understands, um, therapy or the value of therapy. But
Right.
in a church setting or a believers type of setting, it still feels like a little bit taboo. Like for someone
Hmm.
to desire therapy, it's like they're saying, okay, God is unable, to deal with my mental issues or mental problems. So
Right.
could you tell like some of the believers that are watching right now, what do you believe is the importance of therapy or why is it important? And it's not downplaying God per se, but why is therapy truly important for us as believers?
I love therapy. Like, if I could go to therapy every day, I would. I mean, I think I am biased because I am a therapist, but
Mhm.
in the field, our professors would say, if you go to a therapist who is not receiving therapy, you're in trouble, because she needs an outlet, right, to release everything that she's receiving from everybody on a daily basis. So she needs her
Yeah,
own
it's true.
self care to make sure that she's taking care of herself, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a quote that says leaders lead by example, and that's where I'm gonna link it all together there. But therapy is important because it helps you to maintain a healthy mindset, right, which helps you to be productive on your day-to-day. Christ is important. The church is important. What I've learned throughout all of my years in being in church, I was raised
Hmm.
in church. I grew up in church. Like I said earlier, I accepted Christ at 8 years old, and I was baptized in my late teen years, early 20s. I don't remember exactly when, but I don't know why. 8 years old was very, like, I remember that, but I can't remember when I got baptized. Nonetheless, Christ plays a very important role in my life. And I would say that without him, I wouldn't be able to be a therapist, right? Because he gives me the strength to do what I do. Being a therapist is so important because there are so many people that are hurting, and not everybody who comes into therapy believes in God. So as a therapist, I come across atheists, unbelievers, people with different cultural backgrounds, and people who are struggling with different things. When it comes to depression, the most common disorders would be depression, anxiety, postpartum depression for new moms, or reoccurring moms, right? So
Mm-hmm.
people deal with so many different things. And although the church is important, it is crucial. I do not negotiate my God. I pray each and every day because I know that's where my strength comes from, right? In Psalms 121. But also, like you said, why is therapy important? Therapy is important because it is. And
True.
I can say that Jesus Christ, it's
No better
simple.
way to say it.
Right? To sum it up in one sentence, therapy is important because it is. It's so valuable, right? When you invest in yourself and you have a therapist who will be able to help you to manage your day-to-day life in the most effective way, is very important. And I'm going to give you an example in the Bible. Jesus Christ, when he was in ministry, he was a counselor. Right? In Isaiah 9:6, it
Yes.
says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called a wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace." Hello.
Wow. Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
listen here.
You
It's in the Bible, so it is not new. And Ecclesiastes, I don't know how to say it. English
said
is
you
my
give
third
it.
language.
Ecclesiastes. You got it.
Thank you. It says that there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm.
Nothing. So nothing that is happening right now has not happened before. If you are someone who is committed to learning, reading the Bible on your own, not at church, on your own, you will learn that so many things that we are enduring today have been here for many, many years, even when Jesus Christ was walking the earth on his foot or on his little donkey, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that was a form of transportation. Issues, mental health issues was there because he removed demons, from people all over. And there are some stories, people, dissociative disorder has been there. It's been given a different name, or it's been labelized. If you want to look at it on a negative perspective, there's a label that's placed on mental health right now, but it has been here for many, many, many years. And Jesus himself paved the way as a counselor. Hello. So that is the reason why I think that mental health is important, because Jesus used to be a therapist, if we really want to be real about it, right? In
Mm-hmm.
another way, was a therapist, because counselors is a different form of therapy. It's just the different language. The language is different between family therapists to counselors to social workers to psychologists and therapists. They have their specialties, but under one umbrella, which is mental health. So it's important because it's the perfect combination. Therapy is not downplaying God. If you go to therapy and you pray at the same time, oh man, that's a bomb. You're praying, but you're also learning and understanding the reason why you are acting the way that you're acting. You're feeling certain emotions, or you experiencing certain symptoms that the church does not tackle. Because in the church, what I mostly hear is, don't have sex before marriage, adultery, don't cheat, don't do this. But can we be real? Depression is real. And now,
Mm.
in this day and age, you hear people falling off of buildings, people who are well known struggling with depression, because mental health is real, and it does not discriminate whether you are rich, poor,
Yeah, that's true.
whatever your social class is. You will experience depression if you do not have a healthy balance with your life. So that's what I got to say about it. I'm sorry, it's a mouthful.
No, it's not a mouthful at all. You are, you're right on it. It's
Right.
so important. Mental health. Even the Bible says that. There's a verse in, I believe, First John,
Mm-hmm.
and in First John, the author of that book writes to us that he wants us to be in good health, and mental health is one of those things that when God, promises us wholeness, or he wants us to be whole, mental health is definitely a part of it. It's not
Absolutely.
taking out mental health at all. And you said something important. Everyone needs an outlet. Everybody in this world needs an outlet. Doesn't matter who you are, how powerful you are as a man or woman of God, or your position within the church, or your position anywhere. everybody needs an outlet. Everybody needs somebody to talk to. There's some things in your life that you can't fully make sense of it, that you need someone else to really help you to navigate through that, to understand, why am I going through this, or why am I feeling this way.
Right.
I remember one of my brothers posted this, and he said that sometimes, some things are not really demonic. It's not a demon. Sometimes it's, you just maybe need to do a reset. You need to talk to somebody. You need to figure it out. Because sometimes God, yes, sometimes it is, I truly believe it is a demonic spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
not to say what's happening in this world, people committing suicide, like you were saying, people falling off of buildings, people you would never expect to have depression, they have depression.
Right.
It's not to say, like, okay, that you don't really fully, you don't need therapy, but we do need it sometimes. Okay, it's not saying that, there's not a spirit behind it. That's what I meant to say. It's not to say there's not a spirit behind it,
Right.
but understand that the enemy is using that, the fact that we think that we don't need it, or we don't need to have mental wholeness to be in a right state of mind. uh, this is why he uses that opportunity to cause people, believers, even believers, to take their own lives. So definitely you are right on it.
And I
um
love the fact that you said that it is a spirit. And
mhm,
because of the language that we use, it somehow like, oh, scary, right?
yeah.
Demonic. That's so strong. But when you say negative spirit, no, it is real. It's in the
Yeah.
Bible. But when we learn about euphemism, right, we learn that the same word, a different word, they have different meaning. Negative spirit, demonic spirit.
Hmm.
Satan is real, and he is the opposite of Jesus Christ, right? But where was Satan in the beginning? Right at the foot of Jesus Christ, right at the foot of God, actually, right? He was an angel of light, no, angel of,
Hmm.
right? One
Yes.
of them. He was one of the higher ranks angels in heaven. And because of jealousy, all of it, if you know your Bible, you'll know how, his journey began. But because he wanted to be worshipped, and there can only be one God, right?
Hmm.
That, caused the discontinuation of him being an angel of light, and he became an angel of darkness. But yes, he has his own advocate in the world, people who just simply just are negative all the time. What are you feeding yourself? You have this negative energy, you have this negative spirit that is, orchestrating your life, versus having God, the Holy Spirit on the inside of you. And that is the reason why Jesus Christ died, so that we could have, the opportunity to live and have an everlasting life if we choose to believe. But he also left us the Holy Spirit to help us navigate this life. And when we think about it, there is negativity all the time. Even as believers, like you just said, there is negative thoughts that come into your mind. And when you are in therapy, you are able to decipher where that negativity is coming from, right? Sometimes
True.
it is rooted in your past. It is generational curse, like we would call it, but it's just generational behaviors that you have learned from grandparents, great grandparents, that is in your generation. And for you to break the curse or discontinue the pattern, you see how I'm saying the same thing, but just in a
Yeah.
different way? You have to decide to say, it stops with me, right? For people who say, oh my goodness, I will never get married, people in my family, there's a history with them, go to God. God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above what we could ask for. And if we remain in that mindset, that negative mindset, that, oh, it's in my family, it's going to happen to me, you're already proclaiming it, because
Yep.
God said there is power
Hmm.
in the tongue, power of death in life. So you choose which one you want to see in your life. And in therapy, you would say it's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you speak and believe, you will see apply on your life,
Yep. It's gonna
right?
happen.
And to be
Hmm.
mindful. Go ahead.
No, no, I was saying, oh, you could continue.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say, is that negativity is amongst us, good and bad, good and evil and good is in the world, and we have to make a decision on a daily basis for us to know who is directing and orchestrating our life. Is it the Holy Spirit, or is it the negative demonic spirit that, can impact us in a way?
Awesome. Well said. So, well, I want to know, and as well, I know whoever that's watching and listening would love to know as well. As a
Mhm.
therapist, what are some type of obstacles that you face on a daily basis since you're constantly being um, a person where people can come to? You know, you are an outlet for others that need help. So for you, like, what type of obstacles that you face?
Oh man, if we're speaking on a spiritual level, the enemy has attacked me a lot in my health. That's the
Wow.
number one place that he attacks me. Last year, and this is the first time I'm speaking about this publicly, is that I was diagnosed with endometriosis when I
Hmm.
went to my doctor, and I went to a specialist to find out like what's going on with me. I'm gaining a huge amount of weight. I'm not conceiving in the time frame that I wanted to conceive. But then
Wow.
again, at the end of the day, God is in control of everything. But I, as humans, right, there's an explanation for everything. Right? We can't over spiritualize everything. Oh my God, if people don't want me to get pregnant. That's not what it is. Sometimes we have to find out things about our bodies that we probably didn't know before, right? I've been going to the doctor since I was a little baby, and I've been following specialists since I was 21, as far as, as women, gynecologists, going to make sure that everything is good and in order. I've always received positive feedbacks and sometimes negative depending on the month, right? Because as women, our bodies fluctuate. So recently, I found out that I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and that explains a lot, right? As a
Yeah.
woman, um, I don't know if you have heard other people talk about this. Was the first time I heard about it. I've heard of PCOS, but I never heard of endometriosis, and it explained the reason why I had painful menstrual cycles. It explained the reason why I was bloated all the time. So people, were very mean. In my New Year's, as a newlywed, I became a lot bigger than I usually was. So people kept asking me, "Am I pregnant?" or why did I become so fat?
Wow.
It was a lot of pressure. So people impacted, or I could say that the enemy used people to say certain things towards me that really impacted my mental health, and it put
Wow.
me in a really bad position mentally. Of over a year ago, I was also sick mentally, and I had to take some time off to really work on myself. I was what you was called burned out, and I needed that time to really focus on my mental health, to focus on my physical health. So in addition to that, this surgery that I just had in January was because there was a cyst on my ovaries, right? And I believe that everything that you go through is not for you, it's for other people. And hopefully my message can reach to someone and say, like, don't give up, take care of yourself, it will happen. Just because I am diagnosed with endometriosis doesn't mean that I am not fertile. I am able to conceive. People have conceived even with the disorder. It just makes it a lot harder because
Mm.
your uterus line, or my uterus line, is a lot thicker. So it certain
Yeah.
things have to be implemented for me to conceive. But like I said, nothing is impossible for God. It's in the Bible, and I believe that He called me to be a parent, and He will make us a parent at the right time.
Amen.
And I
Amen. He
am
will.
thankful at the fact that He has helped me be so confident in myself and not allow society, even family or friends, put pressure on myself to conceive earlier than the orchestrated time. Right. So just to continue, my health, my mental health was impacted. My marriage was impacted as a result of my health, right? Because when you are in sickness and in health, that's our vows, right? So even
Yeah.
though I was sick, my husband had to become a caretaker for me, and that was very stressful for him because he still has to maintain the household while I wasn't able to work. So the enemy, or I could just say, life really happened, and I was challenged in my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health altogether, because I found myself being very emotional because I harbored all the negativity that people were sending to me. You are fat, you are big, you are this, up until this day.
Oh,
I still
Jesus.
hear it. People say it all the time. And while I'm talking about it, I'm very emotional because it's something that is so personal to me. But at the end of the day, I had to learn and practice affirmations and really speak positivity onto my life because there's so much
Yeah, it's
negativity.
true.
And you stated earlier that I'm someone that everybody can come to for relief. right? If you're having a stressful day, if anybody is having a moment, they know that I have the skill to listen. Active listening is something that you learn in the therapy world, and it's not something that everybody has. It's not a skill that you were born with. It's a skill that you learn over time. So I know how to just shut up and listen in a rougher way, but in a nicer way. I know how to be quiet and allow someone to vent, right? But when
True.
you're venting, you're dumping it all on me, which I don't mind. I know how to release and not internalize it. But to answer your question fully, I was tested in so many different areas. My confidence was tested. You would find people who say, "Oh man, you're so beautiful," and then other people would say, "You are ugly." So it's like, okay, that's just you. That's your
Oh my
preference.
God.
So no matter how confident I may appear online, as I am in person, if you have encountered me on a day-to-day basis, you can see that the same confidence I display online is the same confidence that I have in real life. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
just projecting that online. It is who I am. However, it took a lot of work. I went to therapy myself when I was in school, and I continued to seek counseling. I even went to Pastor Didone, right, for
Mm-hmm.
counseling, for spiritual counseling, and he has helped me for a great amount of period of time in my life. I was very depressed. There was so much going on, and he has been an anchor in my journey. Pastor Robbins, a lot of people have provided therapy for me and
Amen.
counseling,
Amen.
that has helped me to be who I am. And I'm not gonna discredit my family. My brothers has been really my rocks. They always tell me that I'm beautiful, no matter whether I'm fat or skinny. They tell me that
Yeah.
I'm beautiful. They
Still
are
pretty.
concerned about my health, but I received the support despite the challenges, and I'm still going through it till this day. But I learned to push through, right? Because that's what being a Christian is. It doesn't mean that you don't have obstacles. It just means that God gives you the strength to continue to do what He has called you to do. And I am grateful for His grace on a daily basis.
Wow. Well said. Well said. I really
Thank
love
you.
everything that you just said. But
Thank
people
you.
have to understand that being kind doesn't cost nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Or just say nothing at all. Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
right.
better. Nothing at all. They just don't get that. Like, it doesn't cost much to just say nothing at all.
One thing people always say, common sense is not so common. I
Yeah.
always hear people say, well, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Some people just have to make sure they tell you. And you're Haitian, and in the Caribbean background, people, they have no filter.
Yep. Say whatever. Whatever
Especially
comes out, it
the,
comes out.
oh man, they lay it out. They don't care how you feeling that day. You might be working depressed. I come across certain people and they're like, why are you so fat? You wanted to be this fat? Like, what? I'm like, you almost took my
Oh
business.
my gosh.
So I've heard so many different stories at this point, a year later, from working on myself and personal growth and personal development. I realize people will say whatever they want to say, and I cannot internalize it. And I thank God that I'm surrounded by people who values me, and they also make sure they let me know that I am beautiful. I thank God for a spouse who does not put a lot of pressure on me. On the contrary, he would say a lot of people are saying you're big, but they don't know the health reasons behind it, right? Because
True.
endometriosis causes you to gain weight whether you eat a lot or not. And he would tell me, you don't eat as much as you should. And I'm actually borderline anemic because I don't eat as much. It's just you gain weight regardless. Right.
Yep,
And
that's
people will
true.
say, oh, it's happy weight. I am
Mm-hmm.
happy. And it does come with a lot of weight, but also there is the health aspect of it. And I'm more conscious of it now that I am aware that I have it, that I was diagnosed with it. I'm very careful about my word. I don't have it. I'm diagnosed with it. And it's not something that's eternal. I know that there can be a change. So I have to change my diet on a daily basis to make sure that I minimize the inflammation that happens internally.
Well said. Yep, that's true. People don't know what's going on with you. They just want to make comments.
Yeah,
And
they just think that you're strong just because you have a smile and and although as women we're seen as
hmm
like a strong black woman, we're not strong all the time. I can tell
Yeah,
you, very recently I went to bed crying because it's so much. It's so
it's a
much
lot
that
daily.
I have to deal with on a daily basis, and
hmm
then in addition to that, my job revolves around me listening to people's stories, and I've heard stories. and there are some drastic mental health issues out there that people are scared of. Like if you hear about people's diagnosed with schizophrenia, some people will be like, oh my gosh, schizophrenia, like because it's portrayed
It's
in
not funny,
such a
but it's just the way you,
negative way.
yeah.
It's portrayed in such a negative way in movies, especially the paranormal movies. Oh my
Yes.
goodness, I do not watch those because I'm like, that is not the real aspect of schizophrenia. When you learn about it, you're like, people dramatize everything, and it's not as scary as who they make it seem. No, really, it's
Yeah,
so
you're
funny.
right. You're right about that. It's true. But
Yeah.
with, I know we're having a pretty good conversation, but is there any last words of encouragement that you want to leave for our viewers, our listeners, something they could, take with them and apply it every day?
Well, thank you. First, thank you so much for having me, Sylvia. I'm really grateful that
Oh,
you
it's
reached
no
out to
problem.
me. And what I would like to say is I would like to tell your viewers to really focus on them.
Hmm.
There's we are in a society where we have to worry so much about what other people say. We have to worry so much about how people are viewing us, and I want to remind the viewers to focus on you. How do you view you? When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Are you proud of what you're seeing? If you're not proud, what are some changes that you can implement on a day-to-day basis to help you be the person that you want to be? One thing that I make sure that I talk about all the time and I practice all the time is self-care. It's so important. And being in the field that I am, so stressful, very stressful, that I have to implement self-care on a daily basis. I cannot wait for the weekend to practice self-care. So some things that I do on a daily basis that helps me is my devotion. God is the first person I say hello to. When I wake up in the morning, I read my Bible. I love the you version, the Bible app.
Yeah.
There's always so many different plans that you can do on a daily basis, and it's structured around certain topics like stress, anxiety, depression, relationships, you name it, it's there. And they have Bible references to help you truly understand what's going on. So I would say if you are struggling, make sure that you reach out to a therapist. There are resources out there for people who are struggling. I know people always say, oh my goodness, therapist is so expensive. It is, and as it should be, because the person went to school to acquire the knowledge, right, to
That's
be able
true.
to help you in what you're struggling with. We don't go to doctors and tell them, oh, the doctor is so expensive, as they are, because they went to school for so many years and they are needed. Every career, every professional is needed, and we have to get out of the mindset of too expensive. It's too expensive for you to end up in an asylum. So if you can prevent that by going to therapy and understanding what mental health is and how you can, learn coping skills to apply in your life, it saves you a whole lot of money in the long run, because you become a better version of yourself and your relationships are a lot better because you within yourself are functioning properly. But to end, I'm going to say implement self-care. Make sure you put yourself first. Prioritize you. Prioritize your well-being, because when you are functioning at your maximum, at your best self, your relationships will change. It will change. And also, if you need free therapy services, there are resources. People can reach out to me if they would like to know more information. I
Awesome.
know that there are resources for people who have dealt with grief. Because of COVID, there has been so many losses, right, in the past couple of years, and people don't know how to deal with grief, right? What do you say to someone who lost a loved one?
Yeah, for
Not much
real.
we can
It's
say,
hard.
but there are professionals out there providing the services. I know nonprofit organizations who provide free therapy for certain age ranges. So just reach out to me. Camp Aaron is a great camp it's a grief camp that helps individuals who are dealing with grief from the ages 7 through 17. So if those kids are dealing with grief, they can attend the camp. It happens twice a year, so you can either attend either in March or in October. The organization provides you with a grief counselor that comes to your home, right?
Wow.
And you don't have to pay for anything. So there are resources out there. We just have to connect to the right people that will help guide them into the right direction. So prioritize yourself, make sure you stay on top of your prayer, make sure you stay on top of your self-care, and get a therapist if you need it. And group therapy is another way that you can minimize your costs versus paying $75 for an hour for your private therapist. But if you want to do a group setting, it could be $30. So you save like $50 or $45. I'm not a mathematician, but you save $45 versus paying 75, you're paying 35. It's still the same knowledge. It's just on a group basis. You get to hear other people share their opinions. Some people prefer that versus individual because it's like, oh, what do I say? But it's not as threatening how people think and make it seem. And I do my best to educate people, either on my social media platforms or in person. Therapy is not as bad as we make it seem, and you're not crazy if you go to therapy. You're actually sane.
Wow.
Because you're like, listen, no, for real, you realize you need help. And it's hard for us to admit that we need help, but we all need help. Even I'm working on that. It's hard for me to ask for help. My husband would look at me, he's like, do you need help with that? I'm like, yeah, but I expect him to read my mind, and he's not a mind reader. I have to say, babe, can you please help me with that? If I expect him to ask me for help, I also have to be the leader and also ask for help when I need it so that it could be reciprocated. So that's really what I wanted to say, man. I have a self-care journal if you guys need to journal your thoughts. So connect with me to know more about it. And that's all that I wanted to say, is that therapy is important. Therapy is dope. I usually see someone have a shirt that says therapy is dope. It really is. I love all my clients. Well, not in that way, but you know what I mean, in a Christ way.
You know what you mean. Yes.
It could be fun. You could be laughing, you know? It's not just, yes, you're dealing with your trauma, but if you connect with your therapist and their personality meshes with yours, you can definitely have an awesome time in therapy, man. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much, Wilna, for definitely coming on here to share with us and inform us. It's definitely important that we are very well informed in this world. The more knowledge we have, the better it is. So thank you so much for being a part. And I know that it will be very well received and by our listeners and viewers. And as well, also let them know how they can find you on Instagram.
So currently my name on Instagram is Wilna_motivates. I changed the story twice.
I see. I was trying to find you the other day.
Right? I'm like,
yeah.
I need to put to one name so that I can be known for that name. But if you Google Wilna Francois, I will pop up because that's what I put my name to be. But the username is different. So I'm not well versed on social media. I'm learning it. And, it's a lot. Technology is a lot for me. I always tell people my relationship with technology is not the greatest. But my name is Wilna_motivates on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's Wilna Francois, short and simple. And if you want to follow my therapy page, it's mine. I'm not even gonna say because I don't really remember right now. But Wilna_motivates, you will see me share my therapy page that I will be posting more therapeutic information on it later on in this year.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you so much, Wilna.
Thank you for having me, Sylvie. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully we can, reconnect for future projects. I have a lot going on. I will reach out to you regarding that. Have a great one. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.